Welcome to my channel and to the first video where I want to show you how to do stuff in R. If you're here, I suppose you know about R. It's a programming language for statistics and visualizations. And today I want to show you how to make charts like this with Plotly. They are interactive charts where you have some mouse over effect. You can zoom in. With a double click you can zoom back out, and it's actually really easy to publish them on their website. So this chart shows the sunrise, the time of the sunrise and the sunset over the year in Vienna, in Austria, where I live. And I ran into some issues with the date format because Plotly cannot work with the LubriDate date format, which I usually use if I work with dates. It cannot map them onto the y-axis. I have no idea why, but that's how it is. So I had to go back to base R, but we will come to that. So to read in the data, which I just copied into an Excel file and saved it as a CSV, I use the fread function from DataTable. I really like DataTable. It's really fast and can do stuff pretty easy. So we use fread from DataTable to read in our data. Then we rename the columns because they are in German, where we just give a character vector to the colnames function. So now we can see we renamed them. And I want to change the German month names to numbers. For that I use mgsub. It's I think it's called multiple gsub. So it's just to replace patterns, but you can use more than one pattern. So what we do here, we tell it, we give it a vector, so that's our month column. Then we give it a pattern to look for. These are the German names of the months, and then we give it a replacement, so that would just be the numbers from 1 to 12. So if we run that, it goes through the whole column and replaces one by one. So January with 1, February with 2, and so on. Then we just assign it to the column. So if we go back to our data, we can now see the names are gone and the numbers are here. To make one column where the whole date is saved, I use LubriDate. That works fine because we map the days to the x-axis of our plot, and it works on the x-axis. So we use paste, and we paste together the day, the month, and the year. And as a separator, we define the dash, so it looks like this. Then we take the paste function and feed it into this function from LubriDate, and it will just transform the character to a date format. I'm doing something wrong. Why do I have this bracket here? I have no idea. Let's see. Here, open blah blah blah. Oh no, should make sense. Oh yeah, it makes sense. We will come to that in a minute. So now we can see we have a date defined. I can show you that it's really not a character anymore. If we use class, feed it in, we can see it's a date. And with DataTable, we use DataTable to make a new column. So we write data, we open up square brackets, then we have immediately a comma. And here we define nothing. Everything before the first comma would be if you want to do something with the line. So we could say, give me every line where the month equals 1, and it would give us the 31 lines of January, of course. But we want to work with all the lines, so we don't define anything, and then we name, if we want, the column, and with this operator we can directly assign new values to that. So we feed this whole lubricate function into that, and if we execute it, we can see that we now have a new column where everything is pasted together and it's transformed into a date class. So for the time of day where the sun rises or the sun sets, I had to go back to base R, and base R, I use base R here because I can show you what happens if we use lubricate. I have to get rid of that, so we have an output. We will come to that. So if I run it with lubricate and I want to map it on the y-axis, it says actually we know about lubricate, but we cannot work with it. So because of that, I had to play around a bit and use base R, but then there was another problem I will show you. So if we take the column sunrise and we tell it it has the format hours and minutes, and we execute that, it looks like nothing because there's an error. Oh yeah, because I ran everything. I have to run it again. I'll show you on this line. So we define its hours and minutes, but now it actually also includes the day. And today here in Vienna, it's the 14th of February 2019. But that is stupid for the mouse over, because I just want, as you can see here, the sunrise, I just want the time and not the date. So we have to correct for that in this part I will show you. I also want the length of day. For that I just, how do you call it? I just subtract the sunrise from the sunset. I put it into the round function because I want no digits. And then it looks like that. It doesn't work again because I have to run the code above. And now I can show you. So now we have the length of day. So we have the data prepared. Now we can go to plot the actual chart. So we open the plotly function, tell it that our data is actually called data, and on the x-axis we want the date. The date, as you maybe remember, was really the days of the year. On the y-axis, for starting, we want the sunrise column, so the time of day, this thing here. And then we tell it we want lines and it's scatter. In the next line we can name the line we just mapped onto the y-axis, and on with the line argument we can define in a list the width and the color of the line. We can also define what the hover info that this mouse over effect contains. So we tell it please just show the text that we define here, and the text we define with the paste function, actually the paste zero function. I can show you the difference between paste and paste zero. So with paste zero there is no separator, as you can see here, but with paste alone the standard separator is a space, as you can see here. So paste zero is really the same as paste A and B, but with the separator nothing. So it's just shortcut if you want. So we paste together, we put in the dates, then we put in the actual data of the date, and this means include a new line, so it's like a line break. So the next line we have sunrise, and here we have what I was talking about before, because now the sunrise column, for example, looks like that with the today's date. We don't want it. So I can show you what happens if we don't use the format function. We run it again. then, oh, did something wrong. We come to that later when we want to publish it. For now, just comment this out. So back to the mouse over. When we don't use the format function on the sunrise, we can see here's sunrise, today's date, which doesn't make any sense, and the hours and minutes. Should also get rid of that, I guess. Also didn't make any sense. So now we can see it's today's date, but with the sunset beneath it, we can see it's just the time, and that's what the format function here is for. So we just tell it, please use this column, but it has the format hours and minutes, and if we run it again, we can see that this actually works. Yep, just the time, no date. So now we close the first Plotly function, and we pipe all that into the next function, because if we just have that, I can show you. We just added the line, the sunrise line. So if we run this, we would just have one line, as you can see here, but we don't want that. So because of that, we add a trace. It's called a trace, and we tell it it's again on the y-axis. Now the sunset column, it's again lines, it's named sunset, and we set again the width and the color. We close that, we pipe it in, because we also want the length of the days visualized, as you can see here in a second, because this here, it's not actually colored or something. These are actual data points. If you zoom in, that example, zoom in at the top, you can see these are, it's not a design or something, it's really data. So it's every day. We do that with the add segments function. So we tell it, and now we have to define where it starts and where it ends. So on the x-axis, it starts with the date, and it also ends with the date, because we want to stay in one line for every day. But the y-axis, it starts at the sunrise and it ends at the sunset. That's what we do here. Then we name it again, and we define the width and color. We close that and pipe it into the layout function. Here we can set some basic information about the graph. So it's the title here, length of days in Vienna 2019. We name the x-axis date. The arguments of this function, or this argument rather, needs to be in a list. That's what we do here. And with the y-axis, we do some more stuff. We also name it, but we reverse the axis, because I wanted the sunrise to be on top and the sunset on bottom. If we don't set this argument, it's the other way around. Didn't want that, so we set auto range to reversed. We also tell it that the y-axis is actually a date, and the tick format is hours and minutes, so that it looks like this. So it's 4 in the morning, 8 p.m. here. Then we close this function, and we are done. And the cool thing about Plotly is you can pretty easily publish this on their site here. For that, you need to set, so let me really work with this here now. You set your username when you register on Plotly, and your API key. You can find it in the settings, I think. I don't show you my API key, of course. And with the function API create, you can publish it directly to your website from R, which is pretty cool. So, but to do that, we have to save the whole chart in an object. What's the name? Day length plot. So we assign the whole thing here to this object. So if we run that, it should show up here. And then in the API create function, we can say, okay, take this object, name it like this, whatever you want, share it publicly so everyone can say it, and file opt tells it that if there already is a chart like that, just override it. Of course, this wouldn't work here. So I have another code where my actual username and API are stored. And now it should open the browser and directly show us the chart. Yep, that's what's happening. So when it loads, we can see, okay, now here's our chart, and we can share it, embed it, and show the whole world what we did, which is pretty cool. I really like Plotly. It's easy, it's not too hard to get into, and they also have a good documentation. It's not only for R, it's also Python, but since we work with R, we can go here, and here you can search for everything you need. Different chart types, how to style them, how to set arguments, and so on. Okay, I hope this was useful for you. Let's look at it one more time. It's awesome, I think. I hope this was useful. If it was useful, it would be awesome if you would consider to support me. You can do so via PayPal, a one-time donation, or via Steady. It's a monthly subscription if you want, where you can choose. If you choose so, how much money you want to give me per month, that would be awesome, but you don't have to do that. You can also join my mailing list, where I will write you a mail if a video like this comes out or new tools. And of course, you can write me a message through my website. I think that's everything. Thanks for watching. Spread the word, and see you soon.